Hello, friends, and welcome to the Cinemondo podcast with Kathy, Mark, and Burk, talking about movies and movie trailers and superheroes and like old forgotten superheroes that get resurrected and changed and altered for the modern times.
That's right.
One of those is something that people probably don't realize how old he is. The Blue Beetle.
Yeah, that he goes back way. I mean, like maybe the 40s, in the golden age of comics. Carlton Comics was like a smaller comic book company. You know, it wasn't Marvel, it wasn't DC. DC was the king, but then it went to DC in later years, and there's a newer one now. And I think this film version of Blue Beetle is kind of copies the latest, the new version of Blue Beetle, which is completely different.
Okay. So the original Blue Beetle was sort of like this.
Yes, that's the Carlton.
The Ditko one.
Steve Ditko, yes.
Yeah.
Who did Spider-Man, of course, and a bunch of other characters.
And then the new one, because he doesn't look nearly as cool as he needs to look, so they redid him with more metallic-looking, shiny, upgraded armor, which I'm assuming is more what he's going to look like.
Yeah, it's kind of like an Iron Man vibe to him.
Iron Man vibe to him, yeah.
Like and these have kind of more just like the leotard look, like Batman,
right.
Man.
Yeah.
Or body paint. What is it?
What is it?
Are all those superheroes? Here's my question: are all those superheroes actually naked and their suits are painted on, like the Blue Beetle? And
I would love that to be true.
Well, they have to at least be wearing underwear because that would be clear that they weren't naked.
Like little tiny panties or something. But the rest of it's just painted on or something. But
they have little panties.
This version is directed by Angel Manuel Soto, and it stars Xolo Maridueña as Jaime Reyes, who is the Blue Beetle. Oh, okay. And I think it's obviously your classic sort of origin story. How did this young guy, a la Spider-Man, the same sort of vibe, become this superhero? So it's a DC thing. DC usually is dark and heavy and sort of fraught with godlike, intensity. This one maybe is a little bit lighter. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, it seems to me like a young guy who gets the powers, and with Spider-Man kind of invented that vibe where there's the young sort of goofy kid who is in general the type of kid who is reading the comic book at that moment. And they see a character in there who gets this superpower, and the whole idea with great power comes great responsibility, from Spider-Man, that great line where, as you're growing up and you read those superhero comics, you're like, that's sort of a metaphor for becoming an adult in a lot of ways.
Exactly.
Getting the superpower of a driver's license, for instance,
The superpower of a driver's license.
Yeah.
Now you can move from here to there in the light speed.
Absolutely.
Without your parents.
Without your pants on.
Without your yeah.
Just your panties on.
Just wear some panties. All right. Here we go.
All right, let's check it out.
All right.
Blue Beetle.
Excuse me, Mr. Reyes. You finished scraping the gum off that lounger or what?
Everything right now feels so out of reach.
You always land on your feet, bro. You're Jaime.
They don't get out much.
I just want to rap.
Jenny?
I just want to rap. Guard the habits in your life, but do not open it.
You went in to get us jobs, and all you brought back was a hamburger?
Okay, I don't think it's a burger.
You haven't looked?
What the hell is that?
How did you get it to do that?
I think he likes me.
It's on your face! Get it out! Get it out! Jaime.
This ain't what you want. This ain't what you want. This ain't what you want. What the?
Host acquired.
Who said that? Okay, it's gonna be okay! Oh, it's
Re-entry systems ready.
This ain't what you want. This ain't what you want. This ain't what you want.
What is going on?
I just wanna rock.
It's called the Scarab. It's some kind of world-destroying weapon. It's designed to protect its host.
This ain't what you want.
Sometimes it does what you want, and sometimes it doesn't.
Body out of here.
I think I cut a bus in half.
The Scarab chose you, but it belongs to me.
That love you feel for your family makes you weak.
I just wanna rock. You won't kill my vibe. Stand on my money, don't lose my side.
The universe has sent you a gift, and you have to figure out what you're gonna do with it.
That's my high. 1, 2, 3, 4, throw up the 5.
Whatever you can imagine, I can create.
Let's party.
Nice choice.
I just wanna rock.
Whoa, it's like Batman stuff.
Batman's a fascist.
I just wanna rock.
They show the comics, which is kind of interesting at the end.
That's his superpower. Yeah, the comics at the end. That was kind of interesting. Yeah.
I tie it all in together.
It's a very Spider-Man Marvel Universe thing where he gets the Tony Stark suit. It's even got the spider legs coming out of the back.
Yeah, but it's kind of a mean suit. Kind of does stuff that maybe kind of me.
It's
I
sort
love
of
origin
When
stories.
Spider-Man got the suit from Tony Stark, it had the voice in his head, the woman's voice saying, so and so altitude reached, sir. And it seems a little like too much like the modern Spider-Man with the Tony Stark costume. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of.
It has. I mean, it's going after stuff that works. So maybe the DC people said we're going to try to do something a little bit more Marvelish, and
Have a different bug as a superhero.
Yeah, it's not a spider; it's a beetle.
Right. The one difference is usually this stuff is done in secret, like with Shazam and Spider-Man. They try to keep, he tries to keep it. This one, the family sees all of it, which is kind of interesting. Maybe like the family is all in on his power.
I also one thing I do love, and this is why I like these first movies of superheroes, is it's origin stories. That's what I love. Someone finding it, getting the power, and how they adapt and freak out about it. Like that whole thing, I was almost holding my breath because I can imagine what that would feel like to get the superhero power and then and then have to adapt to it, because that would be kind of scary. Like, all of a sudden you're shooting up into the air and coming down. You don't know what the suit's going to do. I mean, but I love the way someone can kind of lean into it, figure it out, what's going to happen. That's where I love it. When they start doing more and more movies of the same superhero, I kind of start a little less interested, because it's that getting acclimated to a new superpower that's the most interesting aspect of it to me. So that's why I really like this trailer, because it's a lot
It looks like he kind of figures it out pretty quick in this movie, because at the end he's already doing a sort of interpretive superhero dance, with the
gotta have the hero dance
or the giant sword and all that. And it's I don't know, it just kind of, to me, I mean, it's surprise. I hate to say this, but it's surprisingly like Spider-Man.
But is that bad? I mean, you can't have enough Spider-Man. They made it like 5 million times. Now they got a different hero at least.
And you have that thing about between DC and Marvel, where you do have the Marvel version of it and then the DC version. Like you have the Marvel Quicksilver is the DC Flash, and the Marvel version of Spider-Man is now the DC Blue Beetle.
That's true.
And
I think with James Gunn taking over DC, they're trying to get away from that dark stuff that was like Justice League and all that, and they're trying to do like the Flash trailer looked pretty good. This has that sort of trying to be like a lighter version of DC and maybe more user friendly, and basically copying Marvel, which Marvel is just like hey, let's copy Marvel, only the most successful franchise in movie history. Maybe that's what they're doing now, and that's changing. Maybe for the diehard Blue Beetle fans out there, like, hey, you're doing something that's not really Blue Beetle, but they're like, hey, it's Blue Beetle. Not many people are dying. We're
I know
take this character.
Some 87-year-old guy like that. It's not the Blue Beetle I grew up with.
Exactly.
Well, it's directed by Angel Manuel Soto. And I
Yes.
like that they're kind of bringing a little bit more diversity into a lot of these comic book heroes now. I mean, they're developing series that are more like showing more diverse minorities in the lead roles, which I think is a cool thing. And I love that they have
Yeah.
the whole family around him doing that, and that's kind of a nice thing to do with that character. I don't know anything about the comic books if he was, what his nationality is or anything, but I thought that was
In
kind of
the
cool.
old
I do like
comics, he
seeing
was
that.
just your standard white guy, like
Standard white
Batman.
guy.
And
Yeah. So that's
but
kind
here's
of
the other
interesting.
thing that has to be mentioned, though. I think we're talking about derivative characters and DC lifting from Marvel. What it seems to be happening, it goes back and forth because DC right now seems to be trying to lift from the successful formula of Marvel, but
Mhm.
if you go way back to the old days, Marvel actually lifted some of their characters from the early DC
that's true.
comics.
Yeah.
So,
That's right.
there's a lot of Marvel characters that are kind of based on earlier DC characters, because DC really, when you think about it, the DC kind of had the first superhero comic books of that sort of modern style comic books. And then, Marvel, which didn't come along until a little bit later, there was another company called Timely Comics before they became Marvel, and they had a few things like like the Human Torch and those kind of Flash, who wore like the sort of World War I helmet with the wings on it, and the sort of old school of superheroes
Right.
kind of got lifted back and forth,
Well, that was the world of
DC.
comic books. So these are 10-cent things for kids, so we can do
Yeah.
whatever we want.
Yeah, exactly.
Now you're in the multi-million, billion-dollar
at
world
it.
of movies. It's a different thing. So, but it's
They probably
not.
thought nobody was ever going to see these things ever again after this
Exactly,
week.
yeah.
It comes out this
Sure.
week. Next week, it's in the trash.
Blow it out.
That's why
So-
that's why they're collectibles.
Yeah.
So the main actor's been in a bunch of TV shows like Cobra Kai, Parenthood. So he's been a child actor, and now he's going to be a superhero. I mean, that's kind of the dream, right?
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden you get to
evidently.
be in a cool comic book movie. What a
Yeah.
great idea! I do love too, like in this one, the Beetle took over. How freaking painful the transformation! Like that suit was like tearing him a lot apart. I mean, that was just like, oh, there's your
But it was like Spawn, and then there's another iteration of Spider-Man a while back, few years back, where Spider-Man got sort of taken over by what they called the alien suit. And that's kind of where the Spawn story came from, which was like the symbiote, that takes over. It attaches itself to him and builds the suit on top of him, and then you have to be careful what you wish for, because the suit will do it. Like I hate that building, and it's like, okay, destructing building now.
You have to check your emotions where it ties in. So we have a few posters. There's only one official poster, which is this so far. It's more like a teaser poster, just showing the scarab.
Scarab.
And that kind of like 80s looking logo, kind of chrome.
Very 80s looking. Yeah.
It's not shot.
Well, it's coming.
It's
coming. What's that?
It's not supposed to be in the 80s, is it?
No, I think
okay.
It's
just because it has a very 80s vibe in the poster. That's why I'm wondering. Don't look at me like I'm crazy.
No, I know. I think I didn't.
What are you talking about? Are you insane?
It kind of did have a retro vibe to it in the
more Harold Faltermeyer music,
Yeah.
I know, seriously.
But it
and
looked,
then there's
I thought it was
like a kind of cool looking, just looks like some production art of him or something. This is cool.
And the colors are they had a lot of purples in the trailer, so they're going for those sort of
brand
push.
this shit.
Well, it's nice to see purple and blue instead of the teal and orange that we see so much.
Yeah, right.
Absolutely.
Purple
and then just
is an underused color.
It's a nice image of him looking at it before he eats him alive. It's like your life is about look how cute it is. It's so cool. It's like, whoops, no, not cool at all. Nope.
Blue Beetle coming in August to IMAX. I think we'll see. We'll see if DC turns the corner with.
Let's see if DC can pull it off.
Yeah,
they're trying
real hard.
Hopefully they'll make it something new and different that we haven't seen before.
I'm sure it'll be totally different from anything we've ever seen, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, it's always fun, guys. Thanks for coming by.
Bye.
We'll see you soon. Bye.